Natural History Standard for 3rd grade focuses on British colonial America. During their study of this topic, 3rd grade students will learn about the reasons why colonies in New England, the Mid-Atlantic, and the South were founded, and how colonial life differed between these regions. Related to this is Geography Standard 3C, which addresses the impact that physical geography had on the economic activities in each region. Additionally, students will examine colonial life from a variety of perspectives, including large landowners, farmers, artisans, women, children, indentured servants, slaves, and American Indians. This unit will be key for students as they enter 4th grade when they will study the causes and events of the American Revolution. Students who come to understand the reasons why the colonies were founded will have a better understanding of the events leading up to the Revolution. This video is one of 2 focused on British colonial America. In this video, we will look at the early colonies and life in the New England and Mid-Atlantic colonies. The following video will examine life in the southern colonies and look at life from the perspectives of different groups living in colonial America. We will begin by looking at the key reasons why the colonies were founded. European countries wanted to establish colonies throughout the New World primarily for the purpose of making money, whether it was due to discoveries of gold and other minerals or gaining access to valuable natural resources. Many English colonists left England in hopes of finding religious freedom. The first permanent English settlement was established by the Virginia Company in 1607 in Jamestown. The Virginia Company hoped to find gold and silver as well as a river route to the Pacific to increase trade. Life in Jamestown was far from easy. The climate was different than that they were used to in England, and the settlers knew little about farming. As a result, the majority of the settlers had died within just months of arriving. Thanks to the strong leadership of John Smith and the friendly relationship he was eventually able to establish with American Indians in the area, the colony survived. The natives in the area taught the settlers how to hunt, fish, and grow corn. But even with this knowledge, survival in Jamestown required very hard work and endurance. The extremely harsh winter of 1609 decimated the population. But within a few years, life had gotten much better for settlers. They had discovered that tobacco grew particularly well in Virginia's soil, and demand for tobacco in England made many settlers rich. The establishment of large tobacco plantations led settlers to take more and more land from the natives in the area, and the need for labor on the plantations led many indentured servants and eventually slaves to be brought to the area. While Jamestown had been established in hopes of turning a profit, the second English settlement in America was founded by Puritans who were seeking religious freedom. Puritans had different beliefs about practicing their religion than what was allowed in England, so a group of Puritans called Pilgrims set sail on the Mayflower in 1620, headed to North America. In December, they settled in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Arriving in the winter made the first months extremely difficult, and almost half of the settlers died. The following spring, the remaining settlers received help from the Pemaquid and Wampanoag tribes who taught them how to fish and plant corn, beans, and other crops that would grow well in the area. Plymouth eventually became part of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, which was the first colony in New England. The colony of New Hampshire was founded in 1629 as part of a land grant in the early 1620s. New Hampshire offered valuable natural resources, including fish, animal furs, and wood. In 1636, Rhode Island was established by Roger Williams, a Puritan who left Massachusetts due to differences in his religious beliefs. The colony of Rhode Island welcomed people of all religions. In the same year, Connecticut was founded by Puritan minister Thomas Hooker, who believed people should have more say in their government. The geography of the New England colonies played an important role in determining the economic activity in the area. Due to the short growing season and rocky soil, success in farming was limited. Most families grew enough food for themselves, but agriculture played only a small role in the economies of the New England colonies. However, colonists in the area had access to other natural resources, including thick forests, which were particularly valuable in England, where forests had been decimated over the years. Additionally, access to the Atlantic Ocean allowed for a booming fishing industry to develop, with cod and whales being prime exports. Shipbuilding also became an important business in some New England coastal towns, including Boston. For the most part, the New England colonies were established for religious reasons. Therefore, it comes as little surprise that religion played an extremely important role in the daily life of the people of these colonies. Early New England colonial religions held strict beliefs and did not welcome individuals who differed even slightly in their belief systems. As an example, though church attendance was required, Puritans only allowed people who passed a religious examination to become members of the church. Strict rules like this had the effect of limiting church populations so significantly that these rules eventually changed. Education was important in the New England colonies, in large part because of the strong emphasis on religion. People who could not read the Bible. Thus, a literate population was considered a necessity. Dame schools, small private schools taught by a woman, often in her home, were common throughout New England. In these schools, boys and girls learned to read and write and say prayers. Education was considered so important in New England that the region became the first to require public, but not free, education in towns with 50 families or more. Additionally, Harvard College was founded in 1636 to train religious leaders. The Mid-Atlantic colonies included New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. Much of this land was first colonized by the Dutch, but they were not particularly interested in establishing settlements. Their primary motive for colonization was making money through trade. Their colonies grew very slowly, and when the English arrived to take over the land, the Dutch didn't put up much of a fight. What had once been New Netherland became New York, named after the king's brother, the Duke of York. The Duke of York gave part of the land to his friend who had once been the governor of a British island named Jersey. The new colony was given the name New Jersey. People settling in New Jersey were offered free land and religious freedom. In 1681, King Charles gave the land that would become Pennsylvania and Delaware to William Penn to repay a debt. Penn was a Quaker, a religion that was not allowed in England. Quakers were pacifists who did not believe in social classes, which were the norm in England and many colonies. When Penn established Pennsylvania and Delaware, he offered religious freedom to all settlers. This, along with good relations with the local American Indian tribes, led the colony's population to grow rapidly. Eventually, colonists in Delaware, which had been part of Pennsylvania for many years, asked to establish a separate colony, and their request was granted. Clearly, there was far more religious tolerance in the Mid-Atlantic colonies than in the New England colonies. The founders of these colonies believed in people of different religions living together in peace, or were simply more focused on making money from the sale of land, leading them to see religion as an insignificant factor in bringing new colonists to the area. Religion throughout the Mid-Atlantic colonies was diverse. Though religion in the Mid-Atlantic colonies was quite diverse in comparison to the New England colonies, education was still strongly religiously based. Different denominations established their own schools. Education for most students in these colonies was practical in nature, with an emphasis on apprenticeships that taught students trades. Children of upper-class families participated in more formal schooling, where they would learn languages, math, history, and science. Unlike the New England colonies, the climate and soil in the mid-Atlantic colonies was ideal for farming. The area grew so many grains that the colonies came to be known as the Breadbasket Colonies. Pennsylvania grew so much grain that it was the leading producer of food for the colonies for more than a century. Broad, navigable rivers throughout these colonies allowed for easy movement of resources, helping trade to flourish. Additionally, rivers provided power to water wheels, allowing for the existence of mills throughout the region. Thus, while industry did not exist in the mid-Atlantic colonies to the extent that it did in the New England colonies, industry still played an important role in the colonial economy. In the following video, we will examine life in the southern colonies and consider how it compared and contrasted with life in the New England and mid-Atlantic colonies. If you wish to learn more about the founding of the colonies and life in colonial America, the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History offers a great deal of information designed to help teachers expand their knowledge of the colonial era and includes primary sources and teaching resources. Searching the phrase Colonial America at teachinghistory.org will result in more than 100 useful resources for learning more and teaching about the colonies. You may also wish to visit the PBS Colonial House website. This site offers interesting perspectives on life in colonial America and provides a variety of interactive experiences that will help students learn more.